steel, basically the most used material after concrete. Right? So if you carefully look, everywhere you will find concrete basically. Any structure, basically concrete. Huh? After concrete you find steel. You go to any building, you go to any road, right? You see vehicles and all, right? Those are also steels basically. So steel is very important. So if we are using steel, that means steel has certain properties, right? Very important properties which it contains, right? So that's why we are using steel, right? Steel has high tensile strength, high yield strength, steel has good toughness also, right? Steel has hardness also, right? Many important properties are there. So how these important properties are coming? Because of phase transformation. That is the point. So steel is showing phase transformation at different temperature, or we can modify according to our requirement. We can do phase transformation in steel so that you understand if phase will change, structure will change, right? And if structure will change, properties will change, right? According to our required properties, we can change the structure. How to change the structure? By doing phase transformation. We know that, we have an idea, right? By changing the temperature, pressure, changing the composition, many things can be done, right? So everybody remember the parent phase, right? Phase transmission starts from a particular phase that we are calling it as a parent phase, and the parent phase is austenite in steel always. That's why if you carefully look, every time we are doing heat treatment, basically, always we are taking the steel to the austenitizing temperature, right? Because you remember, the austenite forms at high temperature, right? Everybody remember, right? For a pure iron, at what temperature austenite start forming? For a pure iron, 910. If you go above 910, you take the pure iron above 910, it will become gamma austenite simply. But if you add carbon, what will happen? Austenite will form below 910 or above 910? Below. Hypoectectoid steel. Right. Very good, you remember that. So I can write here I can write parent phase. Parent phase is B. That is austenite, fine. And we know that austenite is present. And if I am saying phase transmission in steel, means it is a solid state phase transmission. So steel will remain in solid, but only crystal structure will change. Maybe composition will change also, right? Crystal structure will change basically phase transmission. So this may transform into many things, right? This may transform into ferrite. This may transform into ferrite. This may transform into carefully look at the TTT diagram. Remember time temperature transmission diagram, which is the most important diagram for metallurgist. Because by looking at that diagram, you can find out which one is the parent phase, which one is the product phase. Right? So this is the parent phase. These are your product phase after transmission. The transmission is going on, right? Transmission. Transmission is going on, you will get this kind of products. Right? And if you carefully look at TTT diagram, right? Can you tell you which one will be in higher position, which one will be in the lower position? Ferrite will be higher and martensite will be lower. Right? This is the order actually. Yes, this is the order. The top of the TTT diagram you will find perlite basically. Perlite means it is ferrite plus cementite. That's why I am writing ferrite simply. Okay. Okay. From these product microstructures, which one are single phase, which one are mixture of phase? Tell me, I will change color. Which one are single phase? Tell me. Ferrite is a single phase. This is a single phase.
Perlite. Double.
What is it? Okay.
Double.
This is also ferrite. This is also ferrite. And this is also simple martensite. Only martensite. carefully look, this one is mixture. This is a mixture of limo, and this is also a mixture. Both are mixture of ferrite and cementite, or ferrite and carbide. Both are. But what is the difference? Anybody remember what is the difference? Perlite is also ferrite plus cementite. This is also ferrite plus cementite. But what is the difference? One is the position. In the TT diagram, one form at the higher position, one form at the lower or middle positions, basically. Now, so main difference will be, well, if something is forming at the bottom part of the TTT diagram, so driving force will be less or high? More, very good, more driving force. If driving force will be more, nucleation rate will be high. And if nucleation rate will be high, the nuclei will be small one. You at the end you will have lot of nuclei, but small nuclei. So finer one will be. So benite is finer microstructure. That's why benite provide you high toughness and strength because of finer microstructure. But perlite forms at the top position basically, and driving force is less or high? Less. Very less. If driving force is less and temperature is high, what will happen? Diffusion will be more. Temperature high means diffusion will be more. No? But driving force is less means nucleation rate will be low. But diffusion is high means growth rate will be more. If growth rate will be more, what will happen? Less number of nuclei will form, but it will become bigger. So finally we end up with coarser. So if you compare perlite and benite, common one is they are made of same thing, ferrite plus cementite or ferrite plus carbide. But this is finer, this is coarser. So that's why if you carefully look in some textbook, they have written like this. This is becoming coarse, then fine. You understand my point? Perlite is classified into coarse perlite and fine perlite. So the perlite which forms on the top part will be coarser, but if you go to down, it will become finer. Right? The interlamellar spacing will change, basically. Right? Anyways, you understand my point. So if you go down, the become more finer. Right? And most non-equilibrium structure is which one? Martensite. Non-equilibrium microstructure. And if you remember, if you have non-equilibrium microstructure, that is more harder and stronger. That you have to remember. Martensite never occur in iron carbon phase diagram. Why? Because iron carbon phase diagram is an equilibrium phase diagram. No? Equilibrium phase diagram means if you cool the steel very slowly, then some phases are forming. Those are equilibrium phases actually. Like perlite, ferrite, cementite. But martensite never occur in iron carbon, right? Because it is an equilibrium phase diagram, but martensite is a non-equilibrium product. So it will never occur over there. Martensite, how martensite forms? What you need to do? You have to take the steel to the austenitizing temperature, then you need to quench it. Put it into water or brine solution or in oil. It will austenite become martensite. By doing very fast cooling. That is a very fast rate of cooling. Right? Very fast rate of cooling give you very fine microstructure, that is martensite. Okay, you people are getting this point. So, okay, let me write something else. So I can write ferrite. So ferrite may be your electromorphic. Then it may be idiomorphic. And it may be massive. So, it's not visible. Anyway, let me teach you that. Then, okay, so these are the main ferrites: electromorphic, idiomorphic, and massive ferrite. These are the three ferrites. If I draw a grain, these are grains for example. Then your electromorphic ferrite will be like this. And if sorry. First one is the electromorphic ferrite and second one is the idiomorphic. What is the difference? Can you tell me what is the difference between this? One is forming along the grain boundary. One is forming along the grain, like it's like a plate kind of thing forming along the grain boundary. So when you are looking at microstructures of steel and you find that you have ferrite and that ferrite is forming along the grain boundaries, simply say this is electromorphic ferrite. That's all. And what is idiomorphic ferrite? Ferrite is forming inside the grain, not along the grain boundary. Right? It has a particular shape completely. You can see it is a particular shape. But if it is forming along the grain boundary, it does not have a shape. It takes the shape of the grain boundary basically, because it is forming along the grain boundary. So it has a particular crystallographic shape, but it does not have. This is just for a cartoon diagram, not exact diagram. Massive ferrite. Massive. If you remember anything about massive reactions, those reactions operate very fast. No, massive reactions is operate very fast rate. So massive ferrite means there will be no change in composition at all. Composition change will not happen. I cannot show that anyway. So now ferrite. And what is the definition of perlite? Anybody remember?
Mixture of alpha plus
Mixture of phase, okay, ferrite and cement. But what is my definition? Cooperative growth of ferrite and cement. Cooperative growth of ferrite and cement. Cooperative. Cooperation. There is a cooperation. And perlite is a single crystal or bicrystal? It is a bicrystal. You have to remember this thing. Perlite is a bicrystal. Bi means two. Crystal means two crystal. One crystal is ferrite crystal. One crystal is cementate crystal. Both are growing together, cooperating. Right? How this is happening? Can you get? Which one is having high composition of carbon? Cementate. Ferrite have very low carbon concentration. Both are coming out from what? Single phase austenite. So you understood all the carbon are present in austenite first. Then what is happening? Carbon is diffusing. Carbon is getting diffused. Where carbon is getting diffused and becoming more, that part becomes cementite. And when carbon diffuses out from a particular region, that part becomes deficient of carbon, that becomes ferrite. So they are cooperating with one another. You are getting my point? They are cooperating. Where the carbon will diffuse out and become more, that part becomes cementite. Where it is deficient, becomes ferrite. Similarly, all part becoming like that, and it looks like a laminar structure. Ferrite, cementite, ferrite, cementite. You understand the point? So it is a bicrystal of ferrite and cement. One crystal is ferrite, one crystal is cementite. Bicrystal. There is a cooperative growth. Right? Anyway, then when I give to answer, okay, how women's and ferrite looks like. It basically becomes like this. These are Widmanstadt and ferrites. And you remember how Bennet looks? Anybody remember how Bennet looks? Under transmission electron microscope, right? Okay. So this is your Widmanstadt and ferrite. Huh? Okay, let me draw. These are kind of like not exact diagram, but these are cartoon diagrams. Lot of things. These are actually Benites. Huh? If you carefully look through an optical microscope, this will look like this. This is not real diagram. Huh? But if you carefully look Benite under transmission electron microscope, how it looks? Anybody remember? Plate shape, right? Very good. Plate shape. This will look like this. These are plates of what? Ferrites? and in between them you have cemented. Very good. This is a transmission electron microscope, right? Image. These are ferrite plates and these are cemented in between them. This red one is cemented. This black one is plate of ferrite. This is upper benite. But you remember benite are two types, upper and lower. Like perlite is coarser perlite, finer perlite. Benite is upper benite, lower benite. So lower benite will be finer or upper benite will be finer. If you carefully look at the microstructure. Lower benite obviously forming at lower position. Driving force is less. Sorry, more. Right? So that's why finer benite, lower benite is very strong and very high toughness. It is very strong. Anyway, so this is how lower benite looks like. This is upper. Lower is okay. This is your lower benite. So what is the difference you understood? The difference between the lower benite and upper benite is lower benite is having carbides in the plate, inside the plate and in between the plates. But here it is only in between the plates. There is no carbides like here there is no carbides inside the ferrite plate. But here carbides are present in both, between and inside. So that means cementite, what is happening to the cementite? Cementite is getting distributed. Right? Here there is no distribution. Cementite is a precipitate. It is precipitating in between plates, but it is precipitating inside the plate as well as in between the plates. That you can tell. Here cementite is getting precipitated in between the plate and inside the plate of the ferrite. But here cementite is precipitating only in between the ferrite plates. And another important point you have to remember. Okay, I will take that later. And how martensite looks like, let me draw you by using optical microscope. These are the grains, for example. It looks like this lenticular shape. This kind of thing you will see. These are martensites through optical microscope, right? Lenticular shape means it will look like lens, right? If you take a lens, glass lens, how it looks? At the both end it will be narrow, but at the center it will be thicker. Yes or no? A lens, you've seen the lens now? From physics, how a lens looks. So at the center position it will be thicker, at the end position it will be thinner. So that's why some people call martensite looks like a lenticular shape, lens shape. But if you carefully look, martensites are plate or lathe shape. You have to remember. In 3 dimension, in 3D it looks like plate or lathe. Plate shape or lathe shape. LATH, lathe. Lathe means ruler kind of thing, ruler. Okay, so this one. Okay. So now I will quickly draw a DGT diagram. Can you draw it quickly? Let me see. Draw the TTD diagram very fast. You have to show all the structures, microstructures. Let me see if you can draw it fast. Huh? Let it be for eutectoid steel. Don't be confused. Huh? Composition is eutectoid composition. When the carbon concentration is 0.8 or 0.77 or 0.76. Then AE1. What is AE1? AE1 is what? Lower critical temperature. Very good. Lower critical temperature. Okay, fine. So what I can write? Above AE1 for a eutectoid steel, austenite phase is a stable phase. Austenite will remain always. Okay, fine. TTD diagram always have. What is the shape of TTD diagram? It is S curve or C curve. S kind of thing or C. And if C it is, 2C will be there. Fine. Okay. Let me extend it some more. There will be two lines. What are those? MS, MF. What is the start temperature? What is the finish temperature? Right? Similarly, this is called what? And this is called what?
Starting line, finish line.
Start, finish. Start curve, finish curve. Similarly, this is also start curve, this is finish curve, but this is for Martin-Side count. But these two curves are for what? For perlite and benite. Right? Anybody remember where perlite forms and where benite forms? How I can divide it? Just an imaginary line I am drawing. Just an imaginary line. At the nose. This is the nose. So this will be your. This will be your. And this will be your. You can divide coarser perlite, finer perlite. You can divide benite, upper benite, lower benite. Okay. What I can write here in this part, what I should write? In terms of Greek alphabet, what I should write? Tell me. Greek alphabet you are getting alpha, beta, delta, sigma. So what I should write here? Gamma. Use the gamma reason, austenite reason. But this is unstable austenite. And this reason is P, I can write P. And when I can write P, sometimes no problem. For Martin-Side, I can write alpha dash. Let it be P, let it be P. So what I can write? In between this, what I can write? Above this.
P, gamma plus P.
B. And here what should I write? Gamma plus
B.
B. When I.
B.
You are getting my point? Because phase transformation start here and ends here. First C curve shows the start of phase transformation. Gamma is transforming to some product, but it will complete after this line. So this is gamma plus perlite, but this is completely 100% perlite. Right? Similarly, this reason is also gamma, but in between this is gamma plus benite. Benite starts forming, but benite ends, so all are benite, 100% benite. So this is 100% perlite reason, this is 100% benite reason. Similarly, so where I should write what I should write here, what I should write here. If I am writing Martin-Side as M, so what I should write here and what I should write here. I want answer from the back bench, from the blue shirt. Can you answer this one? What I should write here and what I should write. If I am writing Martin-Side as M and gamma is austenite. Okay, from there. It is clear what is the start temperature, what is the finish temperature. So in between this two what will form?
Gamma plus
Gamma
MS.
plus martensite, because all martensite has not formed, 100% martensite has not formed. So this is gamma plus M. And what I should write here?
Only M.
Only martensite, because MF means all austenite become martensite. Very simple things, right? So this is gamma plus martensite, this is martensite. Okay, you people are getting the point? And you can see the microstructure also. If you go down and down and down, driving force will be more and more, because this is the main temperature. Below this transformation starts. Why below this transformation starts? Because austenite become unstable. You are getting my point? How transformation is happening? Because some phase is getting unstable, so it will transform into some stable phase. Okay? But okay, anyway, I can draw it otherwise like this. I can draw it like this. If you want. Again I can draw this one is AE1. What E stands for? Can you tell me? Equilibrium. Very good. Equilibrium. This name like you know, like this. And 3. Okay, 3%. So here I can draw. And here I can draw. Can you tell me why this I have drawn the diagram like this? Same diagram, but I am drawing like this. It is showing two C curves. This is top C curve, this is bottom C curve. You can say. And this line is 6. This two line is 6. Right? This is MS and MM. And this is the gamma. And this region is Perlaitic region or Perlaitic bay. And this region is Benitic bay or Benitic region. And this region is Martensitic region, right? So why I am drawing this kind of thing? Can you tell me? This curve shows what basically? Start and finish. Start. I can write this. So this is I can write 1%. This I can write 50%. This I can write 100%. You are getting my point now? 1% phase transformation has happened. Here 50% has happened. Finally, 100%. When time is very high, because okay, fine. This is I forgot. This is temperature versus log T. Log time. Temperature versus log time. Similarly, for this what I can write, this is 1%, so 50, this is 100%. Similarly, what I can write here, this is suppose 1%, this is 50%, this is 100%. Or you can write 95% or 99% like that. Why I have drawn this kind of structure? Because if you remember, if you quench the CO2 here and hold it, transmission will be like this. Isothermal transmission. That's why. Okay, you can we'll discuss about this one, Martensitic phase transmission now. So what will happen? Martensitic gamma will transform into initially, what is this? Austenite. And what are these? These are martensite. Fine. Why I have written these things? Can you tell me any guesses?
1%, 50%.
Different crystal structures. Different crystal structures. Because if you remember, why we use different Greek alphabets? Different Greek alphabet means they are solid state products, but having different crystal structures. Like alpha means ferrite, gamma means austenite. Both are different. One is BCC, one is FCC. Right? So this one will be what? Alpha. This one will be BCD. Body center tetragonal. Body center cubic. And this one will be hexagonal closed end. So many people get confused in this. People thought that when basically if you go through the textbook, they will saying that martensite is BCD structure, body center tetragonal. But it is not always true. Martensite may be BCC, may be BCD, may be FCC, depending upon the composition of what is the composition of your alloy. And we'll see also that martensite do not form only in steel. Martensite can form in some ceramics. If you want, you can write ZrO2. This is a ceramic. What is this? Zirconium dioxide or zirconium oxide, you can say. So this is a ceramic material. Oxide means ceramics. You remember different classification: polymer, ceramics, and metals or alloys. What is the criteria to say it is a ceramic? If it is a oxide, or if it is a carbide, or if it is a nitride, or if it is a silicide, or if it is a silicate. Those are ceramics material, no oxide. Another example I can write. Okay, this is very interesting. You can see that means martensitic transformation do not happens only in steel. It may happen in some ceramics. This is one of the example of ceramic where martensitic transformation is happening. Right? Similarly, I can write copper, 15 aluminium. This is very interesting. People thought that martensitic transformation happens only in steel, but copper aluminium is an alloy of copper and aluminium, right? This is a ferrous or non-ferrous? From the last bench, it is a ferrous or non-ferrous? What is the difference between ferrous metals and non-ferrous metals? You can classify metals into two types. Ferrous means when iron is there. Iron is the main thing. Steel is a ferrous, or iron is a ferrous. Non-ferrous means apart from iron, everything is non-ferrous. Everything. It may be titanium, aluminium, copper, anything. So that means earlier days people thought that only steel or only ferrous material martensitic transformation is happening. It is not true. Again, it is not true. It can be seen in copper 15 aluminium alloy. Very interesting. That means non-ferrous alloys also shows martensitic transmission, but not all. Not all. No. Another example I can write nickel titanium alloy. Nickel titanium alloy. This is called nitinol basically. The technical name is nitinol. It can be seen in solid solution of argon and nitrogen. Very interesting. How much I don't remember, I am writing it. Argon, nitrogen, solid solution if you take, there also martensitic transformation is happening. Very interesting, right? So first misconception you have to remember, the first misconception is earlier people thought that martensitic transformation happens in ferrous alloy, only in steels, but it is not true. They may happen in these kind of things, in ceramics, in non-ferrous material forms. Right? This misconception is gone. And second misconception you have understood, it is not only the body center tetragonal. It may be BCC, it may be also FCC, depending upon the what kind of alloy you are dealing with. If you want, you can write this kind of martensite forms in 18:8 stainless steel. 18:8 stainless steel. Stainless steel, you people understood? What is the main alloying element in case of stainless steel? Chromium. How much? Above 12% or 11.5 basically. Or you can say 12 is okay. If you are adding 12% of chromium directly into the iron, it becomes stainless steel. No. You melt it and add it. Molten state. You are mixing it molten state. Okay? Fine. 18:8 means 18% chromium and 8% nickel. asked what is the meaning of 18 is to 8 stainless steel? It means 18% chromium and 8% nickel is obsolete. Okay. Argon and nitrogenation, not nickel. Sorry, this is the N2. Sorry, this is my mistake. Actually, these are gases. They are making it solid. Means they are compressing and become making solids. Giving solid. रिएक्ट नहीं कर रहा ये एक साथ है साथ में if you mix two gases it becomes single phase remember how you can differentiate phases number of phases if you mix two liquids it will form single phase it will form two phase if they are mixing with one another complete solubility it becomes single phase if they are two different like oil and water similarly these are two gases is na if you mix them it becomes single अगर वो गैस को मिलाएंगे तो मतलब उसको मिक्स हो रहा है तब बोलेंगे मतलब आपस में इसको मिक्स करना फिर उसको सॉलिडिफाई करना बहुत ज्यादा प्रेशर में सॉलिडिफाई होता है मतलब नेचुरल है उसको मतलब एक्सपेरिमेंट जस्ट एक एक्सपेरिमेंट इसके अंदर मजा होता है एक एग्जांपल है वेयर दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग आल्सो शोइंग मार्टेन-सेटी ट्रांसमिशन जस्ट रिमेंबर दैट इज एनफ ओके फाइन एनीवे okay if somebody will ask where DCC Martin-Seti forms pure iron because there is no carbon that's why I will explain that how you have to remember and many people also get confused see if you go through the textbook they have written that what is Martin-Seti is a super saturated solid solution of carbon in not pure iron carbon in this DCC iron or some people like DCD iron but they have written super saturated solid solution right super saturated solid solution of carbon in BCC iron or BCD iron but that is not true always Martin-Seti is not that that's the misconception I tell that oh okay but pure iron so that means there is no carbon still it is forming Martin-Seti very interesting but that Martin-Seti will be of body center cubic why because there is no carbon I will explain that and that means BCD Martin-Seti will form where in steels basically in steels carbon is present in steel right that's why you can take like iron nickel carbon it will form BCD Martin-Seti you can take iron silicon nickel carbon it will form BCD Martin-Seti body center tetrahedral okay anyway so two types one is called reconstructive phase transformation one is displacement these are the two types of transformation you remember if we in the earlier class we have discussed about we can classify the phase transformation into military and civilian so same thing actually which one will be military and which one will be civilian from if you carefully look displacement will be military or civilian the name itself is a reconstructive re means again construction will happen so the earlier phase is the austenate phase from austenate everything is coming out austenate undergo reconstruction or austenate may undergo displacement shear kind of shear now tell me which one will be civilian and which one will be military first one will be civilian very good first one will be civilian and next one will be military kind of thing okay anyway so that means it clearly shows this part will undergo diffusion right and but this part will undergo shear. Like shear, this will be basically diffusion. How atoms moves in a material? How atoms moves? Atoms moves either by diffusion. Diffusion, you remember, random movement of atoms. An atom will diffuse to a large distance, right? But in case of shear, atoms will move in a particular direction, in a particular velocity, at the same time. Like, yeah, you have seen like this example is which one? Anybody remember? In case of tin, we have seen that tin crack. I have shown you the video. What is the transformation? What is how atoms moves? Twinning. At a time, all the atoms moves suddenly in a same direction, same velocity, right? A group of atoms is moving. That is called twinning. So it is also a shear kind of thing, basically. Okay, anyway. So atoms move by diffusion, atoms move by shear. Okay, anyway. So what is reconstructive phase transformation? Basically, it means means again, construction is again will construct. That means initially you have austenite, and austenite is a FCC. Yes or no? 8 corners, 8 atoms, and each face is having 1 atoms, right? FCC. So if FCC become perlite, for example, what will happen? Perlite means ferrite will form, which is BCC, and cementite is formed, which is orthorhombic. So the structure is completely different. How it will form? If entire structure will break down, and atoms will again rearrange into BCC fashion and orthorhombic fashion. You understood my point? So how it will happen? If initial bonds will break down and new arrangement of atoms will take place, then only. So how this is possible? This is possible by this only. Okay. So one of the example is perlite transformation. Perlite transformation always includes diffusion. Okay. So again, another example is ferrite. Ferrite, perlite, those comes under here. Ferrite, perlite. So initial bond will break and new bonds will form. How new bonds will form? Because atoms will again arrange in a particular crystal structure. That's why it requires diffusion. But examples of this one will be Widmanstätten ferrite, Vanite, and martensite. These are 3 examples. Widmanstätten ferrite, Vanite, and martensite is displacive phase transformation. I am writing a short Widmanstätten ferrite WF and Vanite and martensite. You can write para equilibrium. Para equilibrium. You can write para equilibrium. And here you can write carbon moves, or carbon diffuse in both nucleation and growth stage. So here carbon diffusing only nucleation stage. But here, can you tell me about this? First, I have written for Widmanstätten ferrite, para equilibrium carbon diffusing both nucleation and growth stage. But in case of vanite, para equilibrium carbon diffuse in only nucleation stage. Right? Now what will be last? Martensite. There will be no diffusion. Martensite is a diffusion-less transformation. There will be no diffusion at all. Right? There will be. This is a diffusion-less transformation. Okay. People ask like this: can you give an example of phase transformation where there will be no diffusion of iron atoms, no diffusion of carbon atoms, no diffusion of alloying elements? So that best example is the Martin-Setty transformation. So in Martin-Setty transformation, there will be no movement of, then no movement means there will be no diffusion of iron, no diffusion of carbon, no diffusion of alloying elements, right? And if somebody will ask, give example where carbon will only diffuse during nucleation stage, that is benite. And some may ask, can you give an example where only carbon atoms will move in both nucleation and growth stage, that is Widmanstadt and Ferrari. And if somebody will ask, give an example where all atoms will move or diffuse, iron atom will diffuse, alloying element will diffuse, and carbon atom will diffuse. Example is ferrite and beryllium. Okay. Here all atoms will move, or all atoms will diffuse. Carbon, iron, alloying element. So what is the interesting point here? In this kind of displacement transformation, iron atoms never diffuse. You understand my point now? In this case, iron atom will not diffuse at all. Only diffusion happens for carbon. But for these two cases, but for this case, carbon also do not diffuse. No, nobody diffuse. Here, iron don't diffuse, or alloying element don't diffuse. Only carbon atoms will diffuse. But in this case, only for nucleation stage. But this case, nucleation and growth. No. Because we are basically talking about the main matrix. The main matrix is iron. Alloying elements are carbon and alloying. But carbon is also an alloying element. Okay. So here the thing is what? The thing is the structure will be decided by who? The structure will be decided by iron atoms only now. Listen carefully. Here is asked a good question. Here diffusion is also happening of carbon, but still we are counting as a displacement. Why? Because carbon do not decide the crystal structure. Only iron atom will decide the crystal structure, no? Right? If iron atoms are present at the corners at the face center, it becomes FCC or austenite, you are saying. If you take iron atoms at the corners and only single atom of iron at the body center, that is BCC iron. So iron atom is deciding the structure. Carbon atoms only goes to the interstitial voids. You remember which kind of voids carbon atom goes? Octa or tetra? Octahedral voids. Carbon atoms basically goes into the octahedral voids always. Okay, fine. You people have understood up to this?
सर लेकिन हम लोग अगर एलोइंग एलिमेंट लेके जो सब्स्टिट्यूशनल मतलब आयरन एटम के साथ कुछ मतलब आयरन एटम का कंपैरेबल साइज होगा तब तो वो भी डिसाइड कर सकता है ना
Obviously. That's why we have ordered structure, disordered structure. If you remember. Copper, zinc. Copper may remain in corners, zinc may remain in face center position, for example. Or body center position, sorry, body center position. So that is order or disorder, that is order. But crystal structure is not BCC, it is CSCl, cesium chloride. So that things are also there.
सर लेकिन वो डिफ्यूजन लेस होगा कि डिफ्यूजन वाला होगा अगर एलोइंग एलिमेंट भी तो का
If they are diffusing, diffusion based. Why? Because you understood carbon is a very small atom. If you look at the radius of carbon atom and radius of iron, carbon is very small, right? So if you raise the temperature slowly, it will diffuse. But if you want to move iron, you have to go to a very high temperature. Then only iron atom will change its position. You understand my point? So that means, can you tell me, in this kind of transformation and in this kind of transformation, driving force is high in what point and driving force is low in what point? Driving force is maximum here, very good. That's why diffusion is happening. You understand the point? Driving force is high here or again, actually driving force is high here actually. Maximum driving force will be available here. But here you have high diffusion rate or this high diffusion coefficient. Because this kind of transformation happens at a high temperature. That's why. Okay, you can write. This is having maximum driving force. This kind of transformation is having maximum driving force. This kind of transformation having minimum driving force. And diffusion coefficient is very less here. Diffusion coefficient is very high here. That's why I talk about you have to check where transformation is happening in TTT diagram. the top position or lower position. Okay, you understood or you have any confusion? You can again write diffusion coefficient is low here and high here. Right. Driving force transformation is maximum here, less here. Okay, okay, sorry, buddy. I will end this topic here. I will discuss about Martin-Side transformation again in the coming lecture. Okay, you have